talk about Scottie Pippen confirms he's furious with Michael Jordan after the last dance. How dare the GOAT offend Scottie? So Scottie Pippen confirms he's furious with Michael Jordan after the last dance. USA Today's story. Pippen said it was challenging for him to see Jordan constantly glorified while he and his teammates were not given nearly enough praise for their contributions to the 6 title runs. While Pippen said he wasn't surprised at the depiction and he felt it would have been naive to expect anything different, being demeaned once again was brutal because it was insulting enough when it happened in real time. Beyond the journalistic integrity that vanished when the producers gave Jordan editorial control of the final product, Pippen also felt fiscally slighted as well. To make things worse, Michael received $10 million for his role in the doc, while many teammates and I didn't earn a dime. Another reminder of the pecking order from the old days. For an entire season, we allowed cameras into the sanctity of our locker rooms, our practices, our hotels, our huddles, our lives. What do you have to say about this with Scottie Pippen?
Look, Scottie, let's take a lesson here, bro. Back up. Know your role. Do you understand that he is now one of the greatest duos of all time? Not because he was a top 50 player. MJ's the GOAT. The GOAT. I don't think there's any question of that. Now he feels slighted. He's coming back. He feels fiscally slighted. Scottie, I know he's dealing with a lot with his wife, Larsa. He feels like you were looking at maybe buying his house at one point.
We looked at his house.
Okay.
It's actually a nice house. The basketball court on the right side. Yeah.
Look, if I'm Scottie, just stay in your lane, bro. You don't want to make waves with MJ. This is not the direction you want to go with the legacy of your career. Now he's fighting with Isaiah Thomas. You see what Isaiah Thomas had to say about Scottie? Because Scottie was talking trash about Isaiah, about not making the dream team. Isaiah says, look, I'll take it from MJ. I'll take it from, Hakeem or, the greatest of all time. Scottie, know your role, bro.
Yeah.
And this is just basically overstepping.
You know what I'd want to hear? Here's what I'd want to hear. If anybody has this, and then we'll go to the rest of them. Does anybody have an argument to say that Scottie's got a point? Does anybody have an argument for Scottie?
A little bit.
I want to hear that. Go ahead, Tom. I'm curious.
I have a unique perspective because I was there for every day of The Last Dance. For those 3,
Literally.
I was there every day. I was in the middle of everything that happened.
You watched every game.
Yeah, I was at every practice. I worked at NBC as the sports anchor from 1995 to 1998.
What people don't know, Tom Zenner was the guy with the white poofy afro.
Low-key doesn't want to tell who he really is.
No,
Tom, tell us.
Every single second of The Last Dance, Rodman's parties. We hosted a show with Dennis Rodman every Sunday night. We could do a whole show on me just giving you Rodman stories. Now, Scottie's brand is exactly like it was back then. It's bitterness, and it all stems from money. Right? It's all about money with Scottie Pippen. He knows he got screwed over as a player. He knows how great of a player he was. Everybody knows how great he was.
8 years on that first contract.
7 years, $18 million.
Time out, though. He didn't get screwed. He signed a bad
Well,
deal.
yes, he did, and he knows it. But here's the other thing with Scottie. Here's the other problem with him. He hasn't evolved into a second act, right? So everybody else is an analyst, is an executive, is just a personality. An owner of a team, a coach, Steve Kerr. Everybody is somebody. He's still sitting in that rocking chair whining about the old days, and he's bitter. The wife has something to do with it. Remember back in the day, his nickname was No Tippin Pippen. There was always something about him. He always had a chip on his shoulder that helped him become a great player.
No Pippen, meaning he never tipped.
He never tipped. The reputation in Chicago was...
Well, Michael also had that reputation for not tipping, no?
I don't think Michael had that. Michael was generous.
Well, the Barkley interview with him and Oprah Winfrey where Barkley's like how cheap Michael is. You don't remember that?
Okay, but I think what he was talking about is not paying back gambling debts or something, or maybe not paying for a meal. But Scottie had that reputation. So look, he's not going to change because nothing from his past is going to change. He's not all of a sudden going to make more money. He controlled his own destiny even with The Last Dance. That show would not have been the same without him. He should have said, I want something for participating. And I guarantee you one last thing. This story says Michael Jordan made $10 million for The Last Dance. He would have made way more than that. All right, with the success of The Last Dance, Michael did not leave a dollar on the table.
What the hell is $10 million to Michael, first of all?
Right.
And is Scottie just salty at this point?
I think you can see that in the documentary. He's bitter, and it's all about money, and you can kind of understand that because you realize guys right now make $18 million a month.
Well, the worst story in The Last Dance was the episode where basically he refused to go into the game. He wanted the shot drawn up for him. Tony Kukoc hit the shot, the game winner, and that's Pippen's legacy. As great of a player as he was, you can call him one of the best duos, the Robin to MJ's Batman. He's still the guy that was too salty to go into the game.
Let me ask you a question. Here's a question for you. I dropped that thing if you don't mind picking it up. Here's a question for you. Question for you is the following. Okay. How many people knew that Michael and Scottie won 6 championships together? How many people?
Everyone.
People that follow. Okay, great, fine. Just follow me with you. Okay, how many people knew Steve Kerr and John Paxson hit some of the last, 3-pointers or the shots that they needed
a good
to win?
amount of people.
Everyone. Okay, how many millennials, Gen Zs, knew the Kukoc story with Pippen, who didn't want to go in?
Zero.
That's the point. And I think that if they would have left that story out, this would have never happened. But it needed to be in there. I think if they left that story out, Scottie's not like this.
This is the thing with Scottie, though. He's not necessarily wrong. Luke Longley came out and did a whole thing about The Last Dance and how much they left out and how it was all about glorifying Jordan. Nobody cared because he's Luke Longley. And Horace Grant was also a guy that was like, "Whoa, was I an afterthought? I was one of the best players in the NBA on the first 3. I left for a max contract." So Horace Grant, to me, they made him like a clown, like how somehow, Rodman was one of my favorite players of all time. I have his jersey. You make fun of me for wearing it around. I love Dennis Rodman, but they acted like Rodman came in and like saved the franchise. Horace Grant was an amazing player. So there was a narrative being formed around the fact that this thing was falling apart and they had to get the right pieces, and it was Jordan as a leader. I'll go get Rodman from Vegas and stuff. Luke Longley said the reason Rodman was in Vegas is he was sick of Jordan shit. So that's why he's like, screw this.
But how many titles did those guys win without Michael? It's so easy to bitch about
it's
it.
Michael Jordan. Don't get me wrong, but Scottie Pippen is getting the.
This is the side I want. I want to hear this because the argument is so one-sided with logic, but I want to hear this side to kind of hear it.
Listen to Luke Longley.
I saw what he
problem
said.
is-
But here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. Let's just say Luke Longley goes and does a documentary. Let's go do a documentary on Luke Longley. How many people watch it?
A lot in Australia.
Okay. say Scottie goes as a documentary. How many people watch it?
Well, that's the thing. He's going to make a lot of money off of this. So,
I'd watch it.
Would you watch Horace Grant?
I'd watch it for his
Grant
bitterness.
either.
I really would.
Oh, by the way, I would watch Scottie Pippen's documentary.
Yeah.
But am I going to spend 5 weeks of every Sunday night from 8 to 10 at my house, sitting in the theater room, watching it together, texting everybody saying, "Did you see what just happened?" No, I'm not going to be
something
doing
that you always talk about, Pat, is MJ.
Scottie Pippen would be a good 30-for-30. He's not going to be a 5 weeks of 2 episodes a week.
Something that you talk about is that MJ has reached saint status.
Scottie has not.
He's not even close. How often do you say that when you reach saint status, like Rogan has reached saint status?
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle has reached saint status. You can
question.
talk all the trash you want about these
but
people.
the thing is,
you're not canceling. You're not. No one's gonna lose. Lower them on the totem pole.
But the thing is, it's not even so much that you can't say anything about Jordan. Jordan played when he was sick. Jordan played after his dad was killed. Scottie walked away. Like, bro, we don't forget
Yeah,
that
you're right.
you walked away from your team. Like, we don't forget that. Like, you don't go in there and cry. Because at the end of the day, can you imagine, had he not done that, how many endorsements he would have got? Michael Jordan is worth $1.5 billion, and it's not from the NBA. And Scottie was missing the big picture, and he's still doing it now.
Sure.
Because even then, he did not negotiate in the last dance to make any money.
But Ricky, you're right. But
He's always been horrible in
what
negotiations.
did Scottie win without Jordan? What did Jordan win without Scottie?
Okay, so let's go there. Let's actually go there. That's a good conversation. Let's go there. Would Jordan have won without Scottie?
He won when Scottie had walked out. Eventually, he found the way to pivot because that's Michael Jordan.
By the way,
he pivoted.
he's got a point. Couple games, game 7, Scottie was like, I have anxiety, I have this, I have that. So, but the question is
did
this.
win.
Let's say Scottie, that one season that he sits out, let's say Krause, let's say those guys trade him. Let's say they do. Does Jordan eventually win without Scottie?
Yes. He never did. How would we know?
I'll say he wins at least one without.
Oh,
Pippen.
it's not even
Without one.
guys, it's not even a question.
Yeah.
It's not even a question. I say Jordan without Scottie wins another 3 or 4. I'm not saying 6, but I'm saying 3 or 4. Okay, let's face it. If Shaq and Kobe could have gotten along and Phil could have made it work, and Karl Malone never came to the Lakers, Peyton never came to the Lakers. Those guys never came to the Lakers. They kept a squad with the 2 main guys with a couple role players around them, Rodman type of players, defensive type of players. If they kept it that way, how many championships would have the Lakers won?
Unlimited.
A lot.
Quite a few of them, right? Now, we obviously don't know the answer to the question, but here's a part. This is the angle I take. So, Gerard, think about when you and I are speaking off camera, okay? And we talk about branding, vision, story, future, right? What do you want to be? That one conversation we had 2.5 years ago in the conference room where we're writing all this stuff out on the board. You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, sounds good. Who is that for Scottie? Who's sitting there with Scottie, a good publicist saying, hey, Scottie, I just want to have a conversation with you, buddy. The route you're going, you're going to be the bitter player that is not going to build a brand. I'm just letting you can do this, But I'm just telling you, let's rebrand Scottie.
Yes, yeah.
Let's have a different. I had this conversation with a couple other guys in the last few months. The market thinks you're a dick. This is not a good look for you.
No.
If you want the market to change, you got to change your approach. You can't be pointing fingers at everybody all the time. Scottie went that route. Scottie could have taken a route and said, my argument would have been, Scottie, the more you edify Jordan, the more the market's going to say you're not a top 50, you're a top 25. The more you undermine Jordan, the more you're top 100, because a big part of that attitude is unattractive.
Especially as
It's
you
just
age.
unattractive.
Not being gracious as you age is a bad look. And to your point, I would find out exactly who did Mike Tyson's rebrand, and I would pay them everything.
Marijuana.
Mike Tyson went from, having a tattoo and threatening reporters on air to having a child's cartoon on Adult Swim and, being like America's crazy.
What Tyson has been able to do is take a look at his past indiscretions and all the mistakes he made, embrace them, face the truth, and own up to it and say, look, I don't even know that guy anymore. The stories he says on podcasts, I know you've interviewed him, you've had moments with him.
Yeah.
He's so real at this point and so inspiring that you can't help to love the guy who was the baddest man on the planet.
100%.
Scottie needs to take a lesson from Mike Tyson.
Yeah, but it's got to be
That's the Pat's
sincere
point.
because that's the thing about Tyson. It's legit. He has that inside him.
Yes.
But I don't think Scottie has it. He's too bitter. He has to, number one, overcome that bitterness for anything to change.
You hit the nail on the
I think
head.
that's what
second
Pat's
act.
saying.
No,
Somebody has to tell him. Somebody's
got
got to grab him in the room. Somebody has to be the
Oh,
guy.
because the
not
way
too
it's
late.
going right now, it's gonna get worse. It's not gonna get better.
Right.
Nobody is turned on by a bitter guy. Nobody is. No one's turned on by that. By the way, even look at Barkley. Look at Barkley's resume. Actually, look at his resume. Never won a championship.
Still loved.
Never won a championship. He is loved. He
beloved.
never, and he
Still loved.
calls out everybody and he says his own shit.
Yep.
He never, ever won a championship. Probably one of the most beloved guys ever. He'll never be in the category of a champion, right?
And the most Teflon person in America can get away with saying anything.
By the way, think about analytics. By the way, when Scottie talks and he gives his analytical side, I don't know which one it is, TNT or not TNT.
He's on it.
He's on one of them when he does it. I sit there, I'm like, damn.
He's on it.
I didn't even see that perspective, and I'm not in the world. I felt like I went in the world. So Scottie could be one of those guys.
Right.
The media and fans are not turned on by bitter people.
Can I
They're
make
just
one
not.
more point
Yeah.
about that era of the Bulls? And I think this is part of the problem for Scottie. There will never be anything like those Bulls, ever. There was never anything like it, with no social media, and there'll never be anything like it again with Michael. I think Scottie got caught between thinking, am I an icon or do I have to get another job? And I thought he was living off the fumes of the Bulls aura for so long, and he didn't know how to monetize that. So then he was stuck in this little gray area, and it stuck with him for 23 years.
Tom's
it's
trying to say that Scottie Pippen can't afford Gucci flip-flops, I think, is what the bitterness is coming from.
The fan base, they love humility, and champions with humility become legacy. And I'm going to go to baseball for this side of the table because there's something I've always admired. And it's 1988 World Series. Everybody talks about the Gibson home run. But who carried the team? Oral Hershiser. He won the Cy Young that year. He broke Don Drysdale's scoreless innings record at 59.
Pitched a shutout in Game 4.
And pitched a shutout in Game 4. Shut the series off. And all he has is praise and admiration for Kirk Gibson, and that's how I got my ring. And in Dodgerland, and he's a commentator at the Dodgers, his status is elevating. He didn't have a long enough career to have Hall of Fame consideration, but his status is elevating because he's giving praise to Gibson. He's giving praise to Lasorda. And everybody looks at it. You know what he could say?
Something attractive about that.
He could be pissed off and going down it. I won the Cy Young. I broke Drysdale's record. It was a 97 pitch complete game that he threw in the World Series. Think about that. By today's standards, 97 pitch complete game. He could be going down that and says, "Damn it, why didn't I get the love?"
In a weird way, this brings it all back to like Donald Trump for me. It's like, what made Trump amazing? He edified. It's great to be an American. You should be great. I've loved being a part of this. We're winners. Let's get in together. And then he was bitter. Anybody says anything bad about him, I can see why your husband left you. You're ugly. Like, it's like he couldn't stop. It's like you can't just be like, maybe Scottie feels this way. Penn would be like, look, man, you know what? I don't know if The Last Dance really told the whole story. There's some things you didn't learn. I'm going to put it in my doc. Love Michael, love the things that we did together, but there's another
It's
side of the
thinking
story.
big picture rather than like going tit for tat. Instead of trying to win the battle, look at the war, try to win the war. Right now he's going after yeah, I didn't get this. I didn't get this. If he looks at the big picture,
Totally.
and if someone sat him down in a room and said, look, think about your legacy. Think about what you want to be known as, not trying to win these little tit for tat battles.
That's the key, though. I really think, and you hit the nail on the head. As you age, like he's an icon, he's this. It's the people like that you start listening to, right? It's the person that has to be like,
See
who
it all
can
the time.
can sit Scottie Pippen down that he'll actually listen to and be like, Scottie, bro, cut the shit, man.
You know what it is? Somebody has to say the following. Somebody has to say, look, like even with kids or people you talk to, you know, hey, the other day, Dylan's like, hey, Daddy, am I better than Sam in jet ski? No, you're not. You're not. He's way better than you in jet ski. I said, well, you're better than when I was 8 years old on jet ski, because I've never freaking been on jet ski until I was my 30s. You know? But I said, you're better than me when I was 8 years old. It's like, okay, I'm better than you at 8 years old, right? It's somebody has to say,
I didn't know
bro,
they ran
hey, Scottie, there's no jet skis in Iran, by the way.
I was going to say, I didn't know they ran on sand.
So I was rocking that Persian Gulf.
So anyway, so somebody has to tell Scottie behind closed doors, Scottie, I love you. You're amazing. You ain't Michael. I'm just telling you. Stop acting like you're better than Michael. And FYI, every time you edify LeBron to say he's better than Michael, everybody knows what you're doing. Everyone knows that's coming from an insecure place. Stop it. Just like when Isaiah says LeBron's better than Michael, Isaiah, we all know you're pissed that you didn't make it on the Dream Team. Everyone knows Michael's better than LeBron.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Michael's better than Scottie. What are you doing? It's not even like that argument. So Scottie could have taken a different route. Listen, 40 laws of power. Rule number one. You know what rule number one is? Never outshine the master. Don't. Replace the boss for the face of the team. Replace the boss for master. Replace the boss for whatever the MVP is. You don't outshine Jordan. If he doesn't outshine Jordan, he's going to get 1,000,001 other opportunities. Now he's not going to
One
get
last
those
thing,
opportunities.
dime store psychologist.
Say less, right?
Pat, I mean, the fact that he doesn't have a supportive wife. Now, I don't know anything about their marriage for real, but I do know she's chasing headlines. And she's not probably sitting there telling Scottie how great he is. And he's been humiliated by her, by some of her actions. So that doesn't help. That doesn't help matters either.
true.
I don't. Yeah, but by the way, I mean that's who you marry. But at the same time, he's not the first person that had humiliating stories with wives on the personal life. You still gotta, you know, people can have a choice on what they're gonna do. This is what I want to say before we move on. Let me just remind everybody that's listening to this. $20 super chat gets you in the giveaways. We have a PlayStation 5 we're going to be giving away, iPhone, signed books, and a couple other surprises. We get to 10,000 people live by the third hour. The last super chat will give $10,000 away, but you got to share this with others to get to 10,000. Live will give a $10,000 super chat away. We got a surprise guest that's going to be coming here. But go ahead. You were going to say your final thoughts here.
I know we're just piling on Scottie. We're shitting on Scottie. The wife thing is true. She's definitely embarrassing him and going after headlines. She's dating a guy, Malik Beasley in Minnesota, 20 years her senior. He did lose his son, Scottie Pippen Jr., over the last 6 months. And that's sad, So he's been going through some stuff. He's probably dealing with major mental issues, anxiety, depression. He's lashing out. Someone does need to sit him down, but he is going through it, bro. And I hope he gets better.
We love Scottie.
Totally.
We love Scottie, man.
Now, great point on what you just said right there. That's why, Adam, what I go back to is sometimes we have a conversation and it's a private conversation that's just between you and I. It's not the world's issues. It's you and I talking about it, right? Those people that are around you that are not afraid to tell you, listen, dude, chill out a little bit. Kick back a little bit. If you eliminate those people out of your life, I'm sorry, you're going to have more situations like this. Right. Scottie needs to bring some of those people in his life to say, chill out a little bit. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.